Hi, everyone. It's so good to be back here today. And here in New York City, it's sunny. And for those of you who are new to this Facebook Live, I'd like to welcome you. And my name is Edie Nathan. I'm a psychotherapist. And we are talking about a variety of things. So hopefully every day you'll leave with a task or a tip that will help you make it through what for some is a really, really hard time. And and for others, maybe it hasn't hit home yet. I'm not exactly sure. Um, we are living in a time where we're trying to figure out what the truth is. And I was just on a conversation with a woman I'd never met before. She now lives in Orlando, and she's a healer. And we were talking about truth. And I thought that this was not actually what I had planned to discuss today, but I was thinking about truth and how truth is always changing, and that as much as we want to believe, we want to have a hard fact, the facts around COVID-19 are constantly changing. The numbers of people who are positive are constantly changing. And we kind of can't rely on the facts because they're changing so frequently. One day it's you need gloves and you don't need a mask, and the next day it's wear a mask, and the next day it's you need to be quarantined for 14 days, and then you need to have, if you're positive, you need to have 2 tests where you're negative. Except how do you get the tests? The lines, the amount of time that it takes to see if you're negative, it may seem hard for many, and here we are quarantined and trying to find our truth. Perhaps our truth is meeting ourselves in this really crazy time. Like, when was the last time, if you've got kids at home and you've got a partner at home, that you've spent this kind of time with them? When was the last time you spent this kind of time with yourself, with kind of having to listen and be mindful of what the thoughts are that are coming in? And I know that we're all trying to find our way, and there's no one right way. Um, I'm not going to tell you that there's a wrong way either, except that what I'm hearing, I'd love to know your thoughts about this, and your thoughts are evergreen. So even if you hear this recording and it's a week later, I still want to hear from you, because we're having to face parts of ourselves that maybe we never knew existed, and maybe there's anger that's coming up, or there's a sense of loneliness, or there's a sense of desperation, and maybe we find that the way that we're coping isn't so great. I mean, have you heard about the wine stores and the liquor stores? They're so crowded. They've never been busier. Their sales are through the roof. And what that says to me is that's how people are coping. They're drinking. One way that people are coping. And maybe we're having a cocktail party, a virtual cocktail party at 5, at 6, at 10, at 1. And this is a time that maybe instead of just drinking your way through this, you could learn about yourself through this. So I'd love to know how you're coping. If it's drinking, okay. Can you be mindful of how much you're putting into your body? If you're exercising, what are the exercises that are working for you? One person said, I'm doing sun salutations in yoga, and that's really helping me because it's opening my heart and it's opening my lungs, and maybe even just like spreading your arms out and taking in a breath and saying, I'm okay, I'm alive, and I'm going to meet myself through this. And maybe a coping strategy is journaling or reaching out to friends. And maybe it's about spending some time figuring out what's your truth? What's what's your vision for yourself? And to begin to create a vision board. And this vision board can be covering so many different things, from your vision board for family, your vision board for friends, your vision board for your next best idea, your next best self. And in creating this vision board, you're also seeing hope. Now, you might have a vision board that also is about your emotions. And one of the things that I'm finding is that people are scared, they're angry, they're lost, they're sad, and they're grieving. Now, we tend to think about grief in a variety of ways. I just need to adjust myself here. Sorry, guys. So we need to think about grief not just because we've lost someone. We need to think about grief in ways that allow us to expand because of it. So there are so many things that we learn from the phases of grief. One of the things we learn is who we are. We learn about all of the different roles that we play in our lives. And sometimes we grieve the roles that we no longer have. So, for example, if you're used to going to work and feeling very alive at work, well, if you're not at work and you're not doing anything online, then maybe that's a role that you're grieving. Like, who am I without my role at work? And this is, again, where you get to learn about your truth. This is a point where you get to have that board that's in front of you that says, oh, okay, so if I'm not just who I am at work, then who am I? And what's the truth about me? And we are seeking truth. We are seeking the best in us. So what are the roles that you are having to give up maybe, or realign with, or create? So I have this love-hate relationship, in terms of being in the public eye, and Facebook Live is not something that I naturally go to because of my own hangups. I want it to be perfect, and I want to sound perfect, and I've had to really let that go because I want to hear from everyone, and it can get pretty lonely. And so this is a way to combat my own loss of a role of being with clients and being face to face and being able to hold someone in their space and feel a connection and be a witness. And that's my truth. That's a role that's I'm distant from right now. So this is selfishly also a need to connect in a world that we're needing to find different ways that we connect. And it's a new role, and it's empowering and impactful. And the feedback has been amazing because you're speaking your truths. You're speaking from your hearts. You're talking about a loneliness that you never knew existed. You're talking about feeling angry. You're talking about feeling hopeless. And there is one thing that I'd like to cover here today, just one more thing. And I don't know if any of you have experienced this, but I've had a couple of friends who have felt almost like there's a witch hunt out there. It's like accusations made that something is their fault when indeed there's no way that it could be, and that we're blaming and we're anonymously doing it. And if you have felt this kind of bullying or this kind of a witch hunt, number one, shut it off, shut it down, and understand that when people are afraid and they feel helpless, there's nowhere for them to go. And their truth, in their helplessness and their sense of not having any control over what's going on, and they don't have any control over what's going on, none of us do, but we do have control over ourselves. So understand that they're hurting and they're in pain, and you don't have to like it, but you can shut it down, not look at it, not listen to it. And this is a way of you getting to your own power and getting to your own truth. And for that, you will meet parts of yourselves that you never knew. So I wish all of you a day that's healthy, where you have been able to find some creative things to do. And I am actually thinking about creating a mask, like just drawing a circle on a piece of paper and with eyes and a nose and a mouth, and writing down on the mask what you're feeling, what you're thinking, even drawing some things on that mask. And I'd love for you to send it to me on Facebook. And if you can send it to me privately, or you can send it, so that everybody can see what's the mask. Is it anger? Is there fear? Is there rage? Is there like joy that you actually are getting to spend time with maybe family members that you haven't been able to spend time with in a really long time? Or you've actually had time to like learn stuff with your kids, or you've been out there on the front line and you're learning that you have more moxie than you ever thought you'd have. So I wish for you a day filled with spirit and love and joy, and access that laughter. And clumsily, I'm going to shut us down. I'll see you tomorrow at noon. Bye.